Here's another great recipe out of the 18th century German cookbooks that the folks down at Winston-Salem are working on translating. This one is an apple puree, or maybe we might call it baked applesauce. Thanks for joining us today. This recipe starts out very simply. It says take 8 apples, you peel them and cube them. Got a little bit of wine poured over the top of them. It's time to take them over the fire and saute them. The recipe calls for sauteing these guys until the wine evaporates. And this should soften them right up. Okay, these guys are right out of the pan, and this takes some interpretation here because the title of the recipe is apple puree, and the recipe says something like strain them. It doesn't say mash them, it doesn't say whatever, but obviously we want them to be something like applesauce, so I'm going to mash these guys up. Again, this is an experiment. I'm taking this in for interpretation. These guys are mashed up, and it said to strain them. Now, I could strain them out, but I think I'm going to leave some body and not totally strain these out. I'm going to leave them with some of this mashed up apple here. Next ingredient here is whipped up egg yolks, or egg whites. So I've got some egg whites, 6 egg whites, all whipped up nice and firm. I spared you having to watch me whip these up for an hour to get them looking decent, but I'm gonna go ahead and bring these into our mixture here. And I'll just stir them in a little bit. There's a little bit of bitterness coming in from the apple. I'm gonna add some sugar to this. And here comes some lemon juice. This is basically lemon juice from 1 lemon. And let's get this mixed in here. Again, I don't want to flatten up all my egg whites. Our apple mixture is ready to go into our pan. So I've got a well-buttered dish here. We're just gonna pour it in until we feel like it's about enough. I have no idea what this is gonna do when we bake it, so I don't want to go crazy with it. That looks good. You can just kind of flatten this out a little bit. Now, this goes into the oven. It says something like 20 minutes. Oh, we'll see how long it takes. Probably, say 375 or so. Again, that's a guess. This is from an 18th century cookbook. They had no idea, exactly what kind of temperatures they were calling for. So let's get this in the oven at 350 for 20 minutes, see where it goes, and we'll bring it back. So let's give this a try. It looks really interesting, and it definitely has a really interesting texture. So let's see what it turns out like. Light and fluffy. I think I guessed about right on the sugar. Maybe just a little bit more. I think it depends a lot on the kind of wine you used. I mean, I used basically a sack or a sherry wine in this. So I think it turned out well, depending on what kind of wine you want. I can see how you really kind of want to taste that, that puree as the apples mixed up. At the beginning, you want to test that and get that sugar content right. Now there's a texture issue too. I don't think this turned out right for me in this one. If I was going to do it again, I'd definitely make sure to see exactly how those egg whites went in, because I think that they sat long enough here while we were shooting that they kind of separated. And so I get too much like liquid egg in there. And possibly I want to strain out some of these excess liquids so that this would be light and fluffy and basically cook all the way through. We had difficulty getting this one cooked all the way through properly. At least I think that's what they were intending for this recipe. Again, since we don't have all the directions here and all the kind of understanding, especially what's maybe implied by the title, and so both through the translation of time and the language, it can be difficult knowing exactly what the original authors intended on this one. Still, a very, very interesting, fun experiment. And a great tasting thing. And I'm sure if I had, 3 or 4 more tries at this, I might really get to exactly what it was supposed to be. Regardless, excellent. A fun one to try out. I want to thank you for coming along with us as we do these experiments. And we have so much fun. We learn so much on every single one of these episodes as we're studying for them and as we finish them up. And even better, when we release the video and all the comments come in. And that's sometimes when you really learn what's going on with different people's take on that, or how it connects with their culture or their experiences at cooking similar things. So I want to thank you for coming along with us as we test these things out, as we savor the flavors and the aromas of the 18th century.